The Ukrainian drone attack on the port city of Sevastopol was the home of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. And although they've destroyed a lot of oil, it will have significant consequences for the war. This seems to follow Russia targeting Kyiv overnight on Thursday, which was the first time they've attacked Kyiv in 51 days. The Russian barrage of 23 missiles, Ukraine claims to have shot down 21 of them, but actually there were 25 civilians killed. And the point being really that the war in Ukraine, despite falling off the media attention the last few days, it's very busy on the ground. If we look at the area of intense fighting, that's still around Bakhmut. The area of Bakhmut is now 87% taken by the Wagner group, but the war grinds on. Away from that front line, though, most of the fighting is actually focused more on preparations for the spring offensive. Down in Crimea, the Russian yard, there's a massive storage yard there for equipment, has been emptied of its armoured personnel carriers and its tanks. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear facility, the Russians have been sandbagging defensive positions there, which is very worrying because they will become targets come any form of counteroffensive. Fortunately, the main reactor is hardened, so that looks like it's going to be safe. To the east of Zaporizhzhia, all the way along this line, the Russians have been digging extensive trenches, 120 kilometres of them, in layered defence. Some of the trenches are visible from space, and they're also putting in dragon's teeth. We haven't seen those since the Second World War, about a metre tall. They're pyramid-shaped concrete designed to slow down tanks. And Russians have been increasing shelling all the way across this front line. From a Ukrainian perspective, the 14,000 Ukrainian troops that have been trained in the UK are all now back in Ukraine, and that's only the ones that have been trained in the UK. Lots of other nations also providing trained soldiers. And in the NATO Secretary General, only this week, has also announced that 98% of the aid that was being asked for, ready for the spring offensive, has now been delivered. That's over 1,500 armoured vehicles, 230 tanks, and an absolute vast quantities of ammunition. But returning to that strike on the Sevastopol oil facility, this was not an isolated attack. This is all part of coordinated Ukraine action. The spring storm is coming.